the problem that the kids worked on last year for a sample problem was basically dealing with GMOs. So the problem was that it's a futuristic society, so it takes place at least 40 or 50 years of where we are now.
Okay.
And planet Earth, the population is overbearing. There's so many people on planet Earth, and who is going to feed all these people?
Yeah.
So a lot of manufacturers, a lot of biotech firms are using GMOs in their food because they can't grow the food quick enough for people to actually eat it. So the problem comes in that the food was tainted.
Ooh.
And so people are starting to have some health issues related to the food that they're purchasing from these major distributors. And you're trying to figure out where the problem is. So what the actual problem is. Is it a problem with the GMOs? Is it a problem with the distribution of the food? Is it a problem with the packaging of the food? So where the problem is, and then how you could fix that problem should it be a problem in the future.
Oh my goodness, there's so much to this.
There is. And so you do have the ability when you read the problem to come up with at least 16 different problems that are related to the scenario.
Yeah.
So you might think that the problem is the GMOs. Somebody else might think, no, the problem is, the lack of regulations in the production, assembly line, and that may be a problem as well. So kids have the option for multiple entry points into the issue.
So I don't know if I would have known in fifth grade, right? Sixth grade. Fifth grade.
We're fifth grade.
Fifth grade. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in fifth grade, would I have known to? What I'm thinking now is I got to troubleshoot this thing.
Yes.
So that's what I would. That's how I would approach my assignment. So I would approach it with it could be any of them. And so then I would start writing down how to troubleshoot this.
Yes.
And so I would start with the victims first, who got sick, and then I would try to find any commonalities there. Are they getting at the same store, same distributor, that's same warehouse, and try and track it back that way. If it's not that, then maybe it's a larger problem. Maybe it is GMOs, or maybe it's closer to the farm. So then or the farms. So again, kind of looking for commonalities, different farms. Is it one big company? Like, I won't mention them because,
Sure.
It's a lightning rod. And so I would attack it that way and see if I can find the source. And then once you find the source, then you can figure out how to solve the problem. If it is a GMO, then you have to stop having GMOs, but there's a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't grow the food fast enough and the GMOs are causing the food to grow faster, people are going to die without the GMOs, and they're going to die with the GMOs. So then you got to figure out how many are dying with either way.
And what's really interesting about it is that, you have a group of kids that work together on this problem. And, and these are, they have like a novice league, which would be our division. And so these kids are ranging from intermediate elementary all the way up to middle school and then high school.
Oh, wow.
And kids get the same problem, but the way that it's worded is slightly different.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting because when you look at problems like this, they kind of fall in these different categories. It could be, an agricultural problem. It could be a commerce problem. It could be all these different problems. And so when the kids are scored on it, they look for, are they using these categories? And this year, the main theme of our problem, I believe, is psychological disorders. So the kids have been doing all this research as to what constitutes a psychological disorder. And then their practice problems have centered around if you have a major event happen, like an earthquake or a flood or something like that, what are the effects psychologically on the people, and what effect could that have in the future?
Oh my goodness, these are great.
It's pretty high tech. It's pretty hardcore.
It's pretty fun.
Yes.
Right? Because you get to sit down, and so what they break up into groups of how many?
So on our team for Donaldson this year, we have 6, and I think that you can have a maximum of 7. So not only do the kids have to go through and do the written portion of it, but then they also have a skit that they perform.
A skit.
And so they're
Nice.
they're mandated by time, and they can use props like it could be tape or it could be scissors, it could be a trash bag. So they really have to think about how they're going to solve this problem. And when they walk into competition, they don't know what the problem is. So these are just practice problems, but that they're working with all year long to kind of build up their brains and kind of train their brains into the right mindset to be able to solve these tremendously hard
goodness, you're
issues.
making me miss school.
You can come. You can come check out our school anytime you want.
Wow. When I was in high school, I was on the debate team. Me and Troy Bayless were a team, and we had same thing, right? You don't know what your specific topic. Well, that's not true. So we had one overarching topic for the whole year for all the teams in the state of Oregon, maybe for the nation, I'm not sure. And it was alternative energy the year I was doing it. And so we would go to the library Remember that?
Yeah. We still go there. We have a wonderful library.
And we would write stuff on 3x5 cards for our card catalog, and we had our affirmative case, and we tried to make that airtight. But then we had to account for any possible topic that someone was going to bring up in around to get, we'd be traveling to another school, and here's a team from Forest Grove. We don't even know who these people are, and they could come up with anything.
Sure.
And we have to have evidence to refute what they're saying, and so we spent hours in the library looking at all possible alternative energies and trying to punch holes in them. It's similar.
It is very similar, and I think that it goes back on the students, because the whole point of future problem solvers is to think about how to solve the problems of the future,
right,
whether or not they exist. And we're training our kids that you are the future.
Right.
It's your responsibility. I mean, I'm going to keep getting older, and eventually I'm going to pass my torch to the younger generation, and I have a lot of hope.